Hey guys, it's Symbolism, and welcome back to another analysis video where I talk about the music video recently released by Shonen Jump for the upcoming Hindari arc of Two Blue Vortex to the song BAKU Ikemonogakari. As the song opens, we're shown these two visuals of Boruto and Sarada with Naruto behind them. Naruto saving the village during the Chunin exams is behind Boruto. This is significant for so many reasons, but I guess the biggest one I'll point out is, this is the moment where Boruto first recognizes his dad's true power. He finally comes to understand the type of person Naruto is and understands how and why he became Hokage and what an important job that is. And he finally understands the weight of what it means to love everyone in the village like family and the responsibility on his dad's shoulders. All the hard work he must have gone through to get to that point. Naruto's stone-faced monument is behind Sarada with her Mangekyo activated. This is significant because Sarada's goal isn't just to become Hokage, but a Hokage like Naruto. Her Mangekyo being activated is significant because of how she unlocked it, and the choices she made to get there, which we'll talk about throughout the analysis. Especially since when you understand the lyrics of this song, you can see how both of their goals and dreams take on new meanings as they both carve their own paths, straying from the paths of their role models. In between Boruto and Sarada, there's the spreading of lines of karma on Boruto and Kawaki's faces, showing the disruption of their goals, and that future doesn't just go in a straight path like you want it to, which also applies to later song lyrics. Finally, there's Sasuke with Naruto standing in the back with this kind of starry background. Sasuke is the Shadow Hokage, the one who protects the village out of the limelight, but the reason he gets to that point is because Naruto and Sakura went after him even when he tried to desert the village. Backs in Japanese literature are significant for a number of reasons, but in this scene, to me, it feels like despite all that Sasuke's done, he still feels indebted to Naruto and admires the great person he was and reflects on what losing him did to the village. This is also significant because Sasuke and Naruto are Boruto and Sarada's goals and role models, but I think the music video overall portrays Sasuke as his own person rather than a reflection of the person Boruto wants to become. Over on X, I likened this Momoshiki drawing to this artwork called Hand with a Reflecting Sphere and asked you guys what you thought in the comments. Kaz said it was like a play into Momoshiki's future sight with associations being made to that of a crystal ball. One MCE said that it seems like Momoshiki is plotting something that Boruto can't see coming. Naruto5437 said that it seems he's secretly observing the events unfolding. I think this represents some sort of power play on Momoshiki's part, watching and waiting for the opportune time to act. During this training montage where Boruto and Sarada use their signature moves, we have the lyrics, Nandomo bokura wa yume ni miserarete. Time and time again, we were sucked in by the allure of those dreams. Atsui iki o midashite kakedasu no. Out of breath, surging forward. In the grand scheme of things, these opening lyrics start out with grand dreams that you devote your full attention to, rushing towards them so fast that you run out of breath, but as the song goes on, you start questioning things and figure out that the path is never straightforward and everything is about to fall apart. In my initial energy analysis, I said this represents the early stages where Boruto and Sarada decide their goals and run towards them with straightforward hearts, still looking to Sasuke and Naruto as an example. For Sasuke's montage, we get the start of a new stanza. Doko made ikeru ka hate made mitakute. How far can we go trying to see the ultimate destination? These lyrics start to represent looking towards the future, and in Japanese culture, the values of the older generation protecting and passing things down to the young is a very common theme that is embedded oftentimes into media as well. I think switching to Sasuke specifically for this lyric almost seems to imply Sasuke seeing how far he can go to send Boruto and Sarada off and to the ultimate destination. He uses his power to assist and protect them, entrusting everything to Boruto in the end, his sword, his teachings, and his daughter, which is later significant as that theme comes back in the song. For the Omnipotence sequence, sandwiched in between Omnipotence triggering and Sarada's Mangekyo unlock is that Sarada line she says as she clings to Sasuke's cloak, "Please save Boruto." We have the lyric, "Atarashii sora ni tsugu," proclaiming to this new sky. As I mentioned in my language analysis breakdown, how this new sky was like a metaphor for a new stage, a new development, or a new era. This sets Sasuke off on his journey with Boruto as they desert the village, and opens the curtain on this new sky in Two Blue Vortex, which is why it goes so well with the lyric right here. It is also important to note for a lyric later in the song, Sarada's strong desire through tears, awakening her Mangekyo, is what triggers Sasuke's ambition to go with Boruto and save him from the people trying to hunt him down, but this applies to lyrics that weren't covered within this music video, that are still in the song, that I'm not going to get to, but that's fine. Now we have this flashback to Boruto training with Sasuke, and the line that Sasuke says, "You are similar to Naruto." The lyric here is, "Kakugo wa ii desho ka?" Are you prepared? This word prepared in my translation is kakugo in Japanese, which isn't just about being prepared, but also about having resolve. In the grand scheme of the song, it's asking if they're ready for a change, because a big change is rapidly approaching, and it's almost here. Even though omnipotence happened, at this point in time, Boruto still has Sasuke. He's still got long hair and he's smiling, and in the very next line of the song, he loses Sasuke. This is the flashback right before Sasuke sacrifices himself to save Boruto, and the text is Sasuke's line, "I'm leaving Sarada to you." The lyric here is, "Yoake wa korekara," dawn will soon be upon us. Korekara in Japanese can also be translated to "it is now beginning" or "it starts from this point forward," but throughout the song, this metaphorical dawn or new beginning creeps closer and closer, in the lyrics, as well as different words, until this same line is repeated at the end. So here it feels like it's about to come. Once it repeats at the end, it's like, alright, what are you gonna do? It's here, from your resolve, and let's go. For now, though, Sasuke leaving is another big change in Boruto's journey. The last familiar thing he has is gone, and for the first time, he's all out on his own until he meets Koji, but for a while there he's got no one. This is the start of him losing his smile. This is when he cuts his hair and takes on his master's will and his sword and sets out to save the future. Now you see Sasuke running off to fight Code so Boruto can get away. The text finishes with the previous sentence by ending with Boruto's name, Boruto, and then you have Boruto with long hair looking at the sword, holding Sasuke's ninja headband. The first two pictures have the lyrics, "Kokoro kurau no wa," the only thing that can devour our hearts, and the second two pictures have the words, "mirai dake," is the future. In my lyrics analysis breakdown, I talked about this line and how devour is the same word used for the Shinju in TBV, but this can mean a multitude of things. The future is all-consuming, nothing but the future can consume them, they aren't trapped by the past, they're offering their hearts to the future. You see this line repeated several times throughout the song, and it takes on a new meaning each time. In this verse, it feels like the meaning of the lyric, along with the pictures, is representing how Boruto's devotion changes. This is the moment where he decides his resolve, where he takes up his master's sword and his will, and the promise and declaration of his ninja way as a kid takes off full force. Now, his role model, his master, is gone, and he has to take Sasuke's position. He has to protect the village from the shadows. Sarada's well-being was entrusted to him. Suddenly, he's not just a kid chasing a dream, he becomes a man that has to step into those shoes and fulfill them. After that, we get this graphic of Baku, an animal that song was titled after, circling around the title of the show, Boruto to Blue Vortex. There are no lyrics here. A Baku, according to Japanese mythology, is a dream eater that devours nightmares and protects against evil, but if it's still hungry after devouring a nightmare, it may also consume a person's hopes, desires, and ambitions. This obviously has a lot of significance in the song because it's all about waking up from the dream that you were in and realizing the weight of reality is about to slam. Up until now, the kids have had the adults to protect them from their nightmares, and now they're living in a nightmare themselves and they have to stand up against it. But the line, "only the future can devour our hearts," makes it seem like this mythical monster, even if it tries, will never get to them, because they're devoting themselves to the future, allowing their goals to consume all of their focus and slowly realizing what those things truly mean to them. Next we have Boruto climbing a staircase, and then that same staircase paralleling Sarada's as they flip upside down. The lyrics there are, "Kanjo yurashite iijan, ikari o ai ni mazute." It's okay if your emotions get shaken up. Mix your anger with love. It switches to the staircase and flips on the word mix, which is the last word in the sentence in Japanese. In my original analysis, I talked about how this lyric was kind of saying, it should be fine not to suppress your emotions, let them move you and allow yourself to feel these intense feelings. The word yurashite or yurere was used for Sarada in the Sand Mission arc promo video in terms of her maiden's heart or romantic feelings, wavering or being shaken right before Yoda's speech where she unlocked her mangekyo, and it was used in a way to show that they were starting to kind of stir and come to light. Normally in Japanese culture, if you're a responsible adult, you should learn to mask those strong feelings, but this song is basically written to say, to heck with that mentality, let him out. Mixing anger with love is about letting both emotions coexist at the same time instead of forcing yourself to choose between one or the other, as well as letting yourself experience a much more intense wave of emotions, since anger and love are known to be felt much more strongly, and most often are suppressed, especially in Japanese culture, whereas you usually forcefully show more exaggerated joy. The climbing of a staircase usually represents moving towards a goal, and the mirrored sides represent duality. So now the focus comes to Boruto. While Boruto is climbing towards his goal of protecting everyone from the shadows, he's also having doubts. Koji isn't telling him people are dying. Even through his mask of anger, he still has love for everyone, so much so that he's willing to sacrifice himself. He's forced to suppress that love because he was cut off from it, and he knows he won't just get it back immediately, the exception being the way he becomes around Sarada, a more unfiltered version of his Tubular Vortex self. And yes, he softens a little for Mitsuki and Himawari too, but around Sarada he's a good bit more expressive overall. For Boruto especially, I feel like a lot of times his love ends up being displayed through anger and protective nature as well, most obviously for Sarada, but also for everyone else he cares about. We'll get to how Sarada mirrors that in a second, but first I want to talk about colors because this is significant throughout. Boruto's background color is blue, which in art usually reflects a cold or stoic nature, cutting off your emotions and sometimes even depression or sadness. Sarada's background color is red, and that usually reflects anger or being passionate about something, and of course can also represent romantic love. The way Boruto goes about saving the village in this kind of stoic, removed way is he cuts off most of his emotions, while Sarada goes around trying to save it in a very heated way with much more bouts of passionate yelling involved, and you can make the argument that they're both trying to save each other in those ways as well. Both like mirrors reflecting different emotions, both climbing towards the same goal, both using different means to achieve it. The switch-on mix feels like it represents how Boruto suppresses his anger at the situation he's in and masks it with love for everyone around him, including attempts to forgive Kawaki. Sarada instead masks her feelings for Boruto and covers them with anger at how the village has been treating him, justifying how upset she gets by saying that her anger is simply because she wants to be a Hokage like Naruto, and Naruto wouldn't have stood for this, when in reality there was more to it than that. Next we have Sarada climbing a staircase, and then it ends again with mirrored images, this time with Boruto and Sarada standing back to back in the foreground, while their silhouettes face each other through the open doors in the background. And they're also standing back to back in their individual, pictures. But anyway, the line here is, 0か1じゃないんだ. 混沌で僕らは生きてる. Reality isn't binary, we live amidst chaos. And the mirrored doors show up on live, which is the last word in the sentence in Japanese. There are a lot of things to point out about this section, so I tried to chunk them for you by topic. Lyrics. This line is about how decisions in life aren't as black and white as they seem. Life isn't just made up of zeros and ones. The world is much more complex than that. This word chaos, or konton in Japanese, means distinctions are unclear, various elements are mixed together, messiness, uncertainty. It can also serve as a creative preliminary stage in which something new is born. With these visuals, the panels of the scene when Boruto cuts his hair after Sasuke's death, which if you don't know why haircuts are significant to Japanese culture, I have a video on Sarada's character design that explains that, and Sarada's initial sand arc Mangekyo scene right before she uses it for the first time. These are both scenes that happen right after that big change or shift or dawn in their paths happen when they're forced to realize reality isn't binary and the world is full of unpredictable events. Stairs. I already mentioned how climbing the stairs may symbolize moving towards a goal. To me, this imagery feels like it symbolizes Sarada trying to figure out what being a Hokage means to her now that she has accepted her feelings. The choice isn't just black and white or binary. Accepting her romantic feelings for Boruto doesn't disqualify her from being Hokage. She doesn't have to become Naruto even if she respects him. She's learning to forge her own path, accept herself for who she is as a different person, and continues to discover what it means for her specifically to become Hokage in her own way. The moment she unlocks her Mangekyo is the first time she strays from Naruto's ideals on the path to her dreams. Life is filled with chaos, decisions to make, and you can't just base your life around copying your role model, which I feel like is the ongoing theme of Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki, as well as Boruto as a franchise being inherited from Naruto. Forging your own path is a huge theme, but Tubular Vortex is the actual forging of that path through the conflicts that arise after you lose sight of the person you respect, your role model. So in summary, Sarada climbing the stairs symbolizes her path to figure out the type of Hokage she wants to be outside of her role model Naruto, while Boruto symbolizes his path to figure out what kind of shadow Hokage he's going to be now that he doesn't have Sasuke to look up to. Mirroring visuals. I think it's also important to note that all of these pictures are a mirror image of each other as well, tying into how Boruto and Sarada are like mirrored images of each other in a way, opposite but still connected on that inner emotional plane, the doors in the background. I talk in my movie novel analysis about how Boruto and Sarada mirror each other, similar but different from Naruto and Sasuke at that age. They have this core fundamental understanding and empathy for each other that goes far deeper than surface level because of their shared pasts and fatherly neglect. But Boruto and Sarada directly show that empathy to each other through conversation and actions, and the eventual connection of their goals sets them out on a shared future path. They have the desire to stay close to each other. Naruto doesn't get through to Sasuke until the end after fighting the Otsutsuki, where they're told they're practically mirror images of each other, and you get the mirror image analogies, along with the Valley of the End, and the final scene with their fight on both of them on the ground with a lost arm. Meanwhile, Boruto and Sarada try to stay together, but they have external forces like Karma and Omnipotence and Momoshiki pulling them apart. They're opposite personality-wise, easygoing and uptight, but they're almost like yin and yang in a way that balances each other, and because of that, they push each other towards their goals. Which leads me to my next point, silhouettes. When you line the pictures up next to each other, there's almost this feeling of emotional tension, with both of them facing away in the foreground, but their shadows facing each other through the colored doors. I think that was on purpose. There's this idea in art that a door is like a window into your soul, your subconscious. The open doors with the silhouettes in the background almost suggest that they're still connected on that emotional plane, despite all the factors forcing them apart. When you read the movie novel, it becomes clear how much Sarada inspired Boruto as a ninja. He views her as someone who has great emotional and mental strength, intelligence, and someone whose core essence, whose soul, is more suited to being a ninja than his during the Chunin exams. At the end of the novel, he states in his introspection that he wants to become a man worthy of standing at her side on equal footing with her. His continued respect for the lessons she taught him show up in energy through things like wearing the jacket that got ripped by protecting her, as well as saying "Shannaro" to shut up Momoshiki. And of course, despite letting her fight her own battles as her teammate, he's always there to protect her. Right after he cuts his hair and takes up Sasuke's sword, Sasuke tells him to watch over her. He's entrusted with responsibility for her safety and well-being, and has to be a man that can protect her in Sasuke's absence. It turned from something he wants to do into something he now bears the sole responsibility for, although Mitsuki helps out too. So his back facing her silhouette feels like he's keeping her there in the back of his mind as his goal, while him facing her through the door feels like he's connected to her on that deeper level emotionally. Meanwhile, to Sarada, Boruto has gone and grown up and gotten even stronger. Before in Naruto Next Generation, she wanted to get stronger to stand on equal footing with everyone in Team 7. But now in Two Blue Vortex, she understands that suppressing her feelings was also causing her to suppress her true strength, and that as Uchiha, true strength comes from those strong emotions. She is different than Naruto, who is able to treat everyone like family. She does have one person who is more special than everyone else. So, her facing her back to his silhouette is like her keeping him there in her mind, acknowledging that he is the source of her power, as well as facing him in the reflection through the door as a metaphor of coming to terms with facing her feelings for him that she had neglected since she was little. That was a mouthful. Okay. The next visual is Sasuke slowly becoming Hidari. The lyrics for Sasuke are "Kotae ni oboreta sekai de," drowning in a world full of correct answers. And then, as it becomes Hidari, the lyric is "Kimi wa jibun ni toikakeru." You end up asking yourself. This song is all about how society kind of forces these correct answers on you, or maybe you haven't given them any thought before, and now you're starting to think about the structure behind things and whether or not those answers everyone else tells you are truly correct. This is when you start to have doubts. This ties into Boruto and Sarada figuring out their new paths and questioning whether or not following their role models 100% is the way to go. But I also want to talk about why this lyric was used for Sasuke specifically. This could play into a multitude of interesting things. Sasuke at his core is someone who wasn't really allowed to express a childlike curiosity for the world, and had to be this perfect genius as both a kid and an adult. He was told a lot of correct answers at the convenience of others that were wrong, and as an adult he decides to search out the answers for himself, and a teenager really. When he becomes Hidari, you can see a lot more of the curiosity for the world, and its workings on display. He constantly asks questions, even at the risk of looking dumb. This leads me to a theory that a few people have brought up in the past. What if through his fight with Boruto and Sarada, Hidari starts to question whether what Juro wants for the Shinju are really correct? Either way, the Shinju were stated by Ikemono in an interview to kind of be the inner self of the person they devoured, the hidden self that you don't put on full display. So I'm curious to see where Hidari's internal questioning will lead him. Next is a series of visuals with swirled vortex backgrounds in the order of Boruto, pink, then alternating between blue and red, Momoshiki, Kawaki, Naruto and Hinata, Koji, Eida and Daemon, Himari, and Sarada. The lyrics here are "Honto ni tanoshii no? Is this even really fulfilling? Mune ga zawameku yo. Your heart starts to become restless." For the lyrics, this fulfilling can also be fun, rewarding. Is this really what you wanted? Are you really enjoying this? Does this truly satisfy you? Becoming restless is about the murmurs of your heart stirring your emotions and your logic. It can mean your heart grows restless, your chest tightens with unease, your emotions begin stirring, something inside you feels unsettled, etc. I'm not really sure how to interpret this one. The vortexes in the background kind of symbolize 2BV, but then why is Boruto's the only one that's pink? And why do they reverse in each panel? Does it have any significance, or was it just a visual choice? I came up with a few different ideas. The first one is grouping them into categories. Boruto protects the village by selling himself to Momoshiki, Kawaki protects the village by sealing Naruto and Hinata away, Koji and Eida and Daemon are all on the cyborg side of things, and Himari and Sarada are both on the ninja side. You can also say Momoshiki is the foil to Boruto's goals, Naruto and Hinata are the foil to Kawaki's goals, Eida and Daemon are the foil to Koji's goals because she can listen to Koji whenever she wants, and she can also change the entire course of the future with Omnipotence. But then, why would Himari and Sarada be opposites? Maybe that reason remains yet to be seen. I also think this could be all the characters who are questioning themselves, starting to realize that what they've been told may not be the correct answer, asking themselves if what they're doing right now is actually worth it, other than Naruto and Hinata, who are kind of trapped. But Boruto and Sarada, obviously, Momoshiki running away, wondering why he's alive, and now having a reason to live. Kawaki wondering maybe if sealing Naruto and Hinata away was the right choice, Koji and his uncertainty about his updates, Ada knowing she might end up being killed, and Mitsuki making her question her feelings for Kawaki, Himawari knowing that Boruto isn't all bad and wondering how best to use her powers to help everyone. I also don't understand if this was the case why Mitsuki wasn't included in this flash of characters, but anyway, that's all the ideas I have. If you have any more, please drop them in the comments. Next, we have the visuals of all the Shinju alongside their human forms in the thorn bulbs with Jura coming together as himself at the end. There are no lyrics, just a piano lick. I think this was cool, especially right after the verse about deciding what is correct and starting to question yourself. Jura is very curious. What will seeing all the Shinju and their reverted forms do to his curiosity? How will he proceed? I don't want to delve too much into Jura theories here, but I love him as a villain, and I can't wait to see what happens with him in the future. Next are panels from Boruto fighting off all the claw grimes that surrounded Sarada, killing Matsuri to save Konohamaru, and fighting with Jura as a result. The lyrics here are Nandomo bokura wa kowashitaku naru no. Time and time again, we've been faced with the urge to break it, or them. Mo kawaita daichi ni, and this bone-dry land. These lyrics talk about wanting to break something, not necessarily physically, but a concept or emotion. These correct answers that aren't exactly correct, these false perceptions of reality, these false perfections, if you will, shout out Perfect Being on YouTube. It was in the chapter 33 title where Inujin shatters the bad future as well, this word kowasu. The second line connects to the picture of Kawaki and Mitsuki, so I put up the other half of that line below, but either way, that line talks about how these correct answers dry up all the dreams in the land, eventually saying you have to take hold of the truth you create for yourself. This very much applies to Boruto here because in these moments that are shown, fighting the claw grimes after Sarada is harassed and saving Konohamaru, he goes against the plan Koji outlines and follows his emotions. In Chapter 1, his original goal is to convince Code to get rid of all the claw grimes. Well, he still has power over them. But instead of coming at it from a more neutral perspective, he has to use Uzukiko to threaten Code because he immediately broke all chances at neutral relations from the second he slammed his foot into Code's face and called him a restless word I can't say. And the official, he just told him girls want to get away from him. I have a video on that called Code is Pervert if you want to watch it. Then he goes on to follow Code into the Ten Tails dimension where he fights against all the Shinju and gets scolded later by Koji for failing the plan, and Boruto's response is, "Sorry, I panicked." A lot of people think this applies specifically to Sasuke and Hidari, especially with the follow-up of him telling Sasuke to wait just a little bit longer, but I think it applies to this whole chain of events, starting with Code threatening Sarada. Once again, we see him directly defy Koji when Konohamaru is in danger, and he gets upset when he realizes Koji didn't tell him that Yodo died at the cost of Sarada unlocking her Mangekyo. He again defies Koji more recently by saving Kobu's life, even though it wasn't a direct defiance because he was left out of the loop. Either way, time and time again, he's wanted to go his own way rather than listening to Koji, even if it means breaking the future. He'd rather take that risk and save as many people as possible, even at the cost of his own life. There's already no more dreams. The mole is in the beginning of this line for those of you who are like, yume wa nai just means there's no dreams. But anyway, these lyrics apply very much to Mitsuki, who is forced to reconcile with the ideas he believes to be correct, and that his son was Kawaki, that he refused to believe otherwise until Boruto came and shattered that answer, so to speak. This lends itself to the wider picture of Boruto going around shattering everyone's previously held beliefs because of omnipotence, especially since Naruto is gone, the Shinju are invading, and the world has lost a lot of hope. Which brings us to our next set of pictures. Sarada fighting claw grimes, Hidari, and using Mangekyo Sharingan with the lyrics, "Kono te de umidasu mono dake daete." I'll hold the things I breathed life into with my own hands. Atarashi sora ni nake, and cry out from under this new sky. These lyrics emphasize taking grasp of your own correct answers and pressing on towards your dreams. Hold can literally be holding, or it can be bearing the responsibility for something. The new sky is a metaphor for a new stage of life. Crying out here is different from the previous proclaim, and that's an even stronger declaration. You're kind of announcing your resolve and releasing your true voice. So now that those have been explained, let's talk about Sarada's relevance to those lyrics. Sarada's really had to kind of hold on to her own truth in a world where everyone believes in omnipotence. Sumire too, but as I mentioned in a previous video, omnipotence affected them both very differently. Sarada has been dealing with this in her line of work every day as a ninja and is willing to mouth off to Shikamaru about it. She's proactive, she fights it. She decided what truth is for herself and is determined to revive the bone-dry land, to proclaim to everyone that Boruto isn't a traitor, to run full speed towards her goal to become Hokage. After she unlocks her Mangekyo, she starts using it to the best of her ability to protect everyone. Once she decides to like Boruto, she apologizes to Sumire and matches Sumire's will to be her romantic rival. Despite still figuring out what being Hokage is going to mean to her now, and trying to understand and accept herself, she doesn't waver, she bears the burdens that she's imposed on herself, and keeps running forward. Finally, we get to the last chorus with more words showing up on screen, as well as Sarada's face when she turns around after Boruto says the line, "Master believed in me, in you, in it, in something." I think this could go several ways, but I think it's Boruto talking about how Sasuke believed in Sarada way back when she asked him to save her. But the lyric is, anyway, "Are you prepared? Kakugo wa ii deshou ka?" Like I mentioned earlier, the prepared kakugo can also mean steadying your resolve, coming to terms with it. Have you done that yet? Are you ready to make that choice? Etc. In this scene, it seemed like Boruto really had to work up his courage to come before Sarada and tell her this. You can see from the look on his face that he felt guilty about what happened to Sasuke, but he knew he had to tell her. Well, if you guys don't know what his face looks like in that panel, if you haven't seen it enough times already from people spreading it around, he makes a face. So this scene is when he steadied his resolve, came before her, and talks to her about it. This time, there's new set of panels with new words, and it's the words, "He risked his life to save me," with the panel of Sarada rushing into his arms. And meanwhile, the lyric is, "Yoake wa korekara," or dawn is only just beginning. Like I mentioned before, this dawn is the setting of a new stage, a new era, the understanding of a new dream or goal, and it's starting now. It's from this moment forward. So why would they be showing the hug here? Anyway. Other implied interpretations aside, I'll get to that at the end of the bonus if you really want to know. This promo seems to showcase the dawn of the Hidari arc, and they're tying things back to Boruto's guilt over Hidari coming to full force in this scene. They'll eventually work together and face Hidari to bring Sasuke back, similar to what they were doing in Chapter 11, but perhaps more intense this time. The lines all indicate how Boruto appreciates what Sasuke did for him, and that it was all for Sarada because Sasuke believed in her that much. Boruto's new stage comes to an opening in this scene with his goals as well. He takes on the full weight of treasuring her and protecting her as her father did, stepping into his shoes and keeping her safe in his absence, taking responsibility for her as he literally holds her in his arms, which ties back to the previous lyric about holding, about holding the things you breathe life into, or your goals with your own hands. この手で生み出すもの, I didn't really talk about this, but it also means like the things that you've created for yourself, so like the concepts and the ideas that you've created for yourself, as well as like the physical things that you've brought into being with your own hands. So like Sarada's Mangekyo and most of the things that she accomplished through her training, but it can also be like ideals and all those things, like carrying the weight of those ideals. So yeah, that's how that ties into this. But like literally taking responsibility for Sarada as he holds her. Here you see the text, "It was all for your sake," as Boruto brings his arms around her back, and then the words Sarada. With the lyrics, "Kokoro kurau no wa mirai dake," the only thing that can devour our hearts is the future. Again, to explain this particular lyric, it can also mean nothing but the future can consume them, so they aren't trapped by the past. It can also mean they're offering their hearts to the future. It can also mean determination to press on towards the future and let it consume them. In this moment, Sarada frees Boruto from his guilt over the past. Now they have to press on towards the future, fight Hidari, free Sasuke, and get him back. In order to do that, they offer their hearts and souls to the future and whatever it brings, doing their best to fight the Shinju and get stronger to face whatever threats come their way, while continuing to define what their goals mean for them. That's a much better wrap-up. Alright, moving on. Bonus! Romantic interpretation of the hug. I feel like you can also interpret this as the stage that is about to set up Boruto and Sarada's romance, the dawn opening on a new stage in their lives, as well as how their feelings will shape their future goals. It's already been happening throughout most of Two Blue Vortex, with this hug starting it all. Sarada blushing, Sumire's reaction in Chapter 16, which then triggered Sarada zoning off during the sand mission enough that Yodo took notice, her speech unlocking her Mangekyo and realizing her feelings, talking to Sumire, and then again Ada afterwards. All that stuff stemmed as a chained reaction from this hug. In my shoujo analysis breakdown, I elaborate on how guys don't usually state their feelings outright but show it in their actions, and this hug with Boruto hugging her back was huge. And obviously, we've already seen Boruto treat Sarada much differently than everyone else around him, and that isn't just well, Sarada's the only one to get the opportunity to be shown like that. Yeah, think about why that is. Why would she be the only one drawn to be in danger with his special reactions in direct comparison to everyone else? Maybe it's because the author is trying to hint, hey, pay attention here, he likes her, I'm gonna set him up later, here's some development, look, see, I did the thing. Ikemoto is using a different trope than Naruto, for those of you that want to say it's like what happened with Naruto and Sakura. I break both tropes down in that 2 hours long shoujo analysis tropes video, and I'll further elaborate on this understanding in a later video as well, where I explain why all the relationships don't relate to anything that was in Naruto. But anyway, but right after that, we get Sumire given a chance, attempting to do something with her Call Me Sumire and Tihi as she runs off with Boruto's sword, as well as her cover where she's hugging it. Boruto's reaction, which is sweat dropping and being short with her afterwards and not using her name or even saying thank you. You can make the argument that it's done off screen, but that further contributes to my why didn't the author draw it in then argument, directly contrasted with Sarada passing out and Boruto catching her midair, screaming her name in a large bold font, not taking his eyes off her, not setting her down until she's healed, wiping the blood from her face. I mean, I can't argue anything definitively. I can't prove anything to you. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just telling you what's in the manga and how tropes are used. But I think their relationship is either about to come together through the Tadari fight in terms of making it more obvious, or be tested in terms of something happening to tear them further apart again, like Momoshiki. And it could be about how prepared Boruto is to fill that role and protect Sarada and Sasuke's stead, especially when directly facing off against his Shinju form. There you go. That's the very rough bonus because I can't go down any rabbit holes or I'll be here for an extra 6 hours. I'm slowly introducing you to the rabbit holes. Slowly. That's all for this video. Feel free to check out the other videos on my channel for a better understanding of some of the topics I mentioned. There will always be a ton of cross-referencing going on, so I try to sort things into playlists for you. Anyway, hope you have a great day, and thanks for watching to the end. See you next time. Hey guys, it's Salads and Bolts, back with another analysis video, this time for the movie video thing, frick, that is not, anyway, this time for the music video. It's called a music video. Bolts, and welcome back to another, oh my gosh, desho? Music videos, janai? For BAKU Ikemonogakari's BAKU, okay. Hey guys, it's Salads and Bolts. Hey guys, it's Salads and Bolts, the movie novel. Yum, 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 yum. Hey guys, it's Hey guys, it's Salads and Bolts for the music video. Music. Hey guys, it's Salads and Bolts. Welcome back to another. Nope. No, that's not right either. Hey guys, it's Salads and Bolts, and welcome back to another music video. Nope. This time for the music video that recently came out. Why can't you speak coherently? This time for the music video that just nope. Featuring Boruto, Sarada, and Hidari and Sasuke. Mostly. But sometimes featuring other nope. Boruto's 8th opening, BAKU Ikemonogakari. I don't know the order that these words are supposed to go in. And welcome back to another. I'm just gonna write a script on my phone. I'm done. I can't do this. I can't do. Alright, I got this now. And welcome back to another analysis video where I talk about the music video recently. Okay.